Fat versus sugar. That's a big debate that a lot, well, no, zip. Do people worry about it? Right. So, fat versus, no. So, fat. Right. See if I do this, you know that's the start point, right?
Right.
So, fat versus sugar. Many people deliberate over cutting fat out of the diet, as most people are, not most people, but there are plenty of people who are obsessed about cutting fat out of the diet and going low fat, especially when they're worried about their health and looking to lose fat, body fat. However, there's people that are also quite obsessed about going low in sugar. Now, we're all different, which totally sounds like a cop-out, but being all different, what I mean is that some people do better eating more fat, and other people do better eating less fat, and some people do better eating more sugar, and others do better eating less sugar. Now, there are different reasons for that. There's how your body actually functions, and there's lab tests you can look at to narrow that down to indicate that you need more fat in your diet and less sugar, and vice versa. Now, when someone's cutting fat out, by definition, if they're still eating a range of foods and trying to achieve a balanced diet, and there's different meats and seafood and fish coming in, and there's vegetables, and whether there's grains or fruits, but with a range of foods, if you start to cut down one, what's called macronutrient, protein, fat, sugar, the others must go up. So if you lower fat, then your protein and your sugar, or your carbohydrates, must go up. And conversely, if the sugar's going down, your protein and your fat will go up. So sometimes the question isn't, if I eat less sugar, is that a good thing? That might mean you're eating more fat. So is eating more fat a good thing? And you can look at that either way. Now, if there's different types of sugar that you can get from grains, so your pastas and rices and all different sources of wheat and corn, there's also the sugars that come from fruit, there's sugars that come from potatoes and carrots, and there's sugar that's coming from spinach and mushrooms and lettuce and tomatoes. So there's different types of sugar. It's all sugar, it's all carbohydrate would be the better term, and that'll have a higher or lower impact on one person versus the next, due to all areas of issues such as how you function inside, based on your stress, how much exercise you're doing, how trained you are, how much exercise you've done for how long, and different types of training you're doing, your blood sugar control, how your hormonal response to exercise, your hormonal response to food, your actual hormonal balance, which is the function of your capacity to cope with stress, digestive function. There's a whole series of issues inside your body that affect how you process the food, whether there's more fat or less sugar in your diet. So that's maybe the thing to think about. It's not whether or not you should be consuming more fat or more sugar, but how you function inside and who you are as an individual and your needs will dictate what you do better on. As opposed to demonising, I'm never touching sugar, when probably what you mean is refined sugar. So Coca-Cola, alcohol, cake, well they're obvious sugars to avoid, but vegetables, fruits, sure they're good sources of sugar or carbohydrates. And on the other side, on the fat front, as opposed to avoiding fat, going down to your fish shop, that would be a good idea, go down to your fish shop, going for a fish supper, as you would say in Scotland, for some deep fried foods that are going to be high in fat, or even if you go and buy a bottle of olive oil and it's off the shelf in a glass bottle but it's clear so the light can get to it, that oil is sensitive to heat, that fat is sensitive to heat, and therefore it will become rancid or off. It increases the amount of toxins in there. It's less healthy for you because it's damaged. So there are bad fats and there are good fats. Coconut oil, butter and ghee are good examples of healthy fats. But within fats, you've got saturated fats, unsaturated fats. There's fish oils that are high in omega-3s. That's a good type of fat. Saturated fat coming from, as I was just saying, coconut oil, butter and ghee and palm oil are very obvious sources. So there are different types of fats and different types of carbohydrates that are metabolised at different rates and in different fashions within your body, which is in many ways very complicated. But we all need to eat protein, fat and carbohydrate in different ratios. So if you find out how you function on inside and what foods you do better on, then you'll learn whether you need more protein and fat and of what types, or whether you need more sugars but of what type. That's a better way of looking at it than just deciding I'm not eating fat again and I'm going low fat, when all your fat soluble vitamins come in fat, so that's not healthy. Or going low in carbs, which obviously taking away refined sugars is a good idea, but if you start coming back in veg and fruit and therefore narrowing down your source of carbohydrates, that can seriously impact on your energy levels, which then impact on your mental state. Anxiety and depression can increase in those situations. It could lead to greater cravings, which affects the whole guilt and motivation to stay with healthy food choices. It can affect your sleep, it'll affect your ability to exercise and intensity to maybe change your body shape. So there's a whole series of issues to look at there with whether fat or sugar is good, bad or indifferent. And it all comes down to you as an individual and you testing out what's right and wrong for you.